welcome back to our channel, American Ultra Stock. Here we are today to preview what's on Braden's background right there. The final, that's hopefully the scene we're going to watch. We made it, CONCACAF got their cash grab. It's USA versus Mexico. We managed to get there, whatever it took. It wasn't pretty. But Braden, here we are facing our big rivals one more time. Now, we discussed what happened in the last game. Make sure you guys to check out that video. Who would you like to see starting for the US and take on Eltree?
Yeah, so if you watched our preview of the Jamaica game, I'm going to go with a very similar lineup to what I put out there. Will it happen? Probably not, knowing Greg. But I'm going to start, again, Horvath in goal. It has to happen at some point. We saw Turner's mistake. I mean, maybe not necessarily a mistake from Turner, but he could have done a lot better on that goal from Gregory Lee inside 30 seconds against Jamaica. It was really the only action he had all game, and he failed us, to be completely honest. And I think he's been bad for club and country for quite some time now. So Ethan Horvath, he deserves a chance, at least one shot, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later, honestly, because Turner at the Copa America and the World Cup, I don't know if Horvath is necessarily the answer to that, but regardless of our situation right now, I'm not confident. So I start Horvath in goal. He deserves a chance. Let's give him one in this game against Mexico, where he does have that iconic moment a couple years ago, this penalty save. Maybe he'll repeat it, who knows. But the defenders, Dest comes back in easily at right back after the suspension. Scally was horrible against Jamaica, yanked at halftime after, honestly, he was to blame for the goal, I would say, for Jamaica. And even after that, he was very, very bad. Pulled at halftime, completely changed tactics. It has to be Dest, honestly. Scally did himself no favors. Jedi had a very bad game against Jamaica, but I still think he has to start here against Mexico. He's probably our best defender, especially when you look at the defensive aspects. Dest is very talented going forward, but his defensive abilities leave a little bit to be desired, to be completely honest. For the center backs, I'm going to go with Chris Richards, obviously. He's our best one. Pretty simple there. He had an all right game against Jamaica. Nothing too special, but no really major mistakes, honestly. And I put in Tim Ream. I just didn't want him to start against Jamaica just due to some of the pace that they have. A lot of that pace was taken out by injury or suspension, which ended up being pretty lucky. But I think Ream's calm head, his experience, and honestly, his soccer IQ in a game like this against our biggest rivals would be very beneficial to have. So I think he needs to come in to start, provide some experience to a very young team. Pulisic being our captain, or Tyler Adams, they're both very young players. Ream's really the only experienced veteran on the team, especially since players like DeAndre Yedlin aren't here, thank God. So Ream has to be in the lineup for me in this final. Moving on to the midfield, I'd start Johnny Cardoso. I'm not sure if it would happen. He arrived at the camp very late due to a potential injury issue. He was getting checked out at Real Betis and Sevilla. Ended up being all good. He came on. He wasn't on the pitch for very long, only came on in extra time due to the Tyler Adams minutes restriction. He hit his cap of 45. It had to be taken out, even though he came on as a sub. But I thought in his very limited minutes, he looked very solid. And Johnny, this was supposed to be the camp for him to get his chance to prove to himself and prove to Greg that he is capable of taking the spot from Tyler Adams for potentially the Copa America. He didn't get that chance against Jamaica. He has to get that chance here against Mexico. It's our biggest game, and it's potentially his last opportunity before the big tournament in the summer to prove that he should be a starter for the USMNT, which he has proved at club level that he's at least in the conversations for that. In the center mid, it has to be Weston McKennie. I don't know why he was shifted out to right back in the game against Jamaica in the second half, but he's so creative on the ball. His long balls are amazing. He's the first name on the team sheet, him and Pulisic. So he has to be in the midfield. It's self-explanatory. As is the next one, Gio Reyna at the 10. We saw the difference between him being on and off the pitch. Malik Tillman, I thought, had a very disappointing game. Kind of like Scally, a similar situation. We have a star player who's sidelined in that position. They get their opportunities, and they don't do themselves any favors, both Scally and Tillman. Has to be Reyna at the 10 for me after his, what I would call, a man-of-the-match performance against Jamaica, even though it ended up going to Haji Wright, who, speaking of Haji Wright, I'd have him starting on the left wing. I think his performance off the bench did enough to warrant himself given an opportunity, and this is still an audition for him. Remember, he wasn't initially in the roster, which shows he is probably, at least for now, on the outside looking in. for the Copa America roster. I think having a full 90 or at least a starting 60 minutes for him to really show what he has and prove that he does need to be on the roster. I think he really needs that opportunity. He should get it. He deserves it after the game against Jamaica. Start him with Reyna, see if the dynamic duo can cook once again, and have Pulisic on the right. I said it in our reaction video to the Jamaica game. Pulisic looked a lot more threatening on the right-hand side when he switched over from the left. He looked more free. He looked like he knew what he was doing a lot more. He had more ideas, more creativity, and I'd like to see that for a full game, honestly, because Weah is not it on the right-hand side. I've been saying that for some time now. We haven't really had an opportunity to take him out because there hasn't been a good backup, but now that Haji Wright's emerged on the left and Pulisic's playing at the right week in, week out for club, I think it's worth a shot at least. Because honestly, this is the time to experiment before the big tournament in the summer. And then at striker, I'd still go for Balogun. I think, like I said in the Jamaica preview, if we do have Reyna and McKennie in the midfield, they are creative enough to play the through balls to Balogun that he likes so much, give him these opportunities. Will he capitalize on them? I'm not sure based on his recent form. But honestly, Pepi came on off the bench against Jamaica and didn't really show me anything that warranted a start in this game against Mexico. So we have to stick with Balogun for now. I still think Pepi can be a great super sub off the bench, give him 20, 30 minutes. I think he can be effective. He showed it last time against Mexico, scoring that third goal that really sealed the win for us. Maybe he'll do it again this time. But that's my starting lineup, my ideal starting lineup for the Mexico game.
Yeah, I think that would be, I think no one would really have any issues with that. Now, mentioning Balogun, I think that this could be a good game for him based on Mexico, on the personnel we're going to be facing. I think personally, if Mexico went with a 5 at the back, but 2 fullbacks bumping forward, although Julian Araujo is going to be out of this game, and if they played with 2 up top with Quinones and Santi Jimenez, that's also why I think Green's going to do well. Neither of those is really pacey. And I think that Balogun could read the runs and would do really well with the way that they're going to set up. If they played a 5-3-2 or really, as you said in the previous videos, swallow their pride, it would be a very, very tough battle. Which brings me to this question. What, in your opinions, are the biggest battles? We know Mexico has Edson Alvarez, Santi Jimenez, although he did look really upset in that game against Panama. What do you think are some key battles that are going to defy the game and the final?
Well, I think you mentioned it. It has to be Edson Alvarez in the midfield against probably Gio Reyna, the 6 versus the 10 battle. Edson's their best player. There's no doubt about it. He's been very, very solid, consistent at West Ham this season, and a team that's fighting for a European spot and fighting within Europe as well in their competitions. So I think, honestly, nothing but good things to say about Edson this season, and I think a battle between him and Gio Reyna, who's in red-hot form, at least against in that Jamaica game, I think it'd be very intriguing. Edson also scored the first goal for Mexico off a very good header against Panama, so he's in form too. I think it would be that's the marquee matchup. If both of them do start, I'm hoping they both will. Edson should start. It's a no-brainer. It remains to be seen whether Greg trusts Reyna from the get-go. I mean, we saw him off the bench initially. There was some rumors of him having a slight knock at Nottingham Forest, but I think he should be fine to start. I'm hoping he does, like I mentioned earlier. And then the other one, like you said, Santi Jimenez, I don't know why he doesn't start for Mexico. He's far and away their best striker. He doesn't perform for the national team, I will say that, but I think part of that is he's just not given the opportunities. He just doesn't get enough minutes. He comes off the bench, and at that point, there's not really too much time to do anything. Regardless of whether he starts or comes off the bench, I think him versus our center backs is a marquee matchup. If he starts, it's going to be him versus Richards and Ream battling it out for 60, 75 minutes. I think that would be a great battle. We've got 2 Premier League center backs versus probably the best striker in the Eredivisie, at least on form this season, particularly the first half of the year. And if he comes off the bench, Ream is very slow, and potentially fresh legs off the bench he could be vulnerable to. So if he does make an appearance as a super sub, maybe he could look to target Tim Ream a little more, although Jedi is on that side and would probably be able to recover. But I think those are the main matchups, and I'm interested to see how well Ochoa does, because he has been horrible for Salernitana in Serie A, but he had a very, very good game against Panama. He even won man of the match on Fatmam, for whatever that's worth. And the fact that they scored 3 goals and their goalkeeper still won man of the match, I think that shows how good a performance he really did have. Panama had more shots, similar shots on target, more possession in that game. It really could have gone either way. Just Mexico were clinical with their chances, and honestly, if a similar type thing happens against the U.S., we could be vulnerable at the back. But I think it's going to come down to the two goalkeepers and who can really save their sides. Ochoa has showed time and time again that he can do it for Mexico. He can prevent opportunities, make some key saves on some of our players. Matt Turner recently has showed that he can't do that. So if it does come down to that, slight edge to Mexico in that department, and has me a little bit worried.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't think that Turner, apart from the Gold Cup, which we know it's a little bit meaningless, but he had the responsibility to show up for that. He was the only A-teamer, true A-teamer there. He never really did anything above the minimum as well for us. He was okay at the World Cup, but never saved a shot where I thought, wow, that should have been a goal, and he managed to keep it out. I don't think he really had many of those for the national team. But now you mentioned how we could be vulnerable or not. It brings me to the question. It's the one that everyone has been asking. Predictions. Do you think we win it, and what's your scoreline?
Well, I actually got the scoreline right somehow for the Jamaica game. In no means was it the way I was expecting. The 3-1 kind of bailed out by the extra time there. But you know what? We'll take it, and I'll try to go 2 for 2 here. It's an interesting one. I think this game could be very open, free-flowing. I think it could be a very entertaining game to watch, honestly, from at least a neutral perspective. I mean, it always is USA versus Mexico, the rivalry. I think a red card in this game is probably a lock, just based on how it went last year. It remains to be seen whether a Mexico player will get it, US, maybe both, like last year. Who knows? But I think ultimately I am going to pick the U.S. to win. Like I said, we play better against open teams. That's going to be what Mexico is in this game. They're not going to want to just sit in a low block. It's just embarrassing. I think they're too prideful to do it, and rightly so, honestly. Against your biggest rival, that's kind of a boring way to go. I think Mexico will definitely get on the board. They have enough talent. Our defense is lacking a little bit. Turner's not in good form. Honestly, I might just go with another 3-1, to be honest. I think we have enough quality to especially seal it late. I think it could be a 2-1 game heading late. Mexico has a lot of opportunities trying to get back, get an equalizer, and maybe we have a counterattack. Ricardo Pepi off the bench, Aronson, Pulisic, some sort of combo like that. Maybe Reyna's involved as well. Get a goal late, 80-something minute, and really seal the game. And yeah, I'll go for another 3-1 win.
That's actually very similar to what I have, but I have an even flashier game, 3-2. I'm going for a 3-2. I think it will be all out. I pretend a very open game. I think it will be a little bit unorganized. We know players do tend to lose heads in these types of games, which makes for a great show, entertaining, especially if you're not a fan. If you're a neutral, it's amazing to watch. If you're a USMNT fan, it is a little bit nerve-wracking at times. But ultimately, I think we just have too much quality, really, for Mexico to deal with. I don't think that they will set up. They haven't set up in a way that would encourage me to pick them to do anything other than lose this match. Although I will say they have been looking a little bit better. But that's granted as well because it's a change, fresh new start for them. However, I just think that we're too good. It's going to be too open. And again, our quality in the region is going to carry us to the bare minimum, which is winning this. And I hope that we take some serious notes and improvements to Copa America, because if we play the way we've been playing, I think we're going to get clapped at Copa America, really. I don't think it's going to look good, but that brings it to an end, guys. And leave in the comment down below what you think the scoreline is going to look like. Do we win it again? Does that scene behind Brayden repeats itself? It would be surely nice. Although I will say this year it would be a lot less meaningful than the past few years, I think. There is a lot more doubt surrounding the USMNT camp, but it is what it is. Leave down in the comments below your lineup or what you thought about our lineups, any hot takes you guys have, any predictions, score lines, or if you think it could go to pens. You never know. And yeah, just make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends, and also stay tuned as we will have a live stream for the game. We hope to see you there, and it's going to be our first time doing a proper live stream. It's going to be nice, so stay tuned, and again, share with your friends. We want to see you here again.